This is the brand new Aputure Amaran PT4c. And this is the Amaran PT2c. In this video, I'm gonna show you how with just 3 lights, you can build a complete lighting setup for your at-home studio. But I also wanna show you how versatile the PT series lights are by shooting with them inside an actual production studio. So big thanks to Aputure for sending out their newest lights so that I could share them with you. So this light comes in 3 different versions, or 3 different lengths. The PT1c, the PT2c that I have here, and the 4-foot version, the 4c, are Aputure's first full-size T12 pixel tube lights. Hence, we have a P in the name. Now, instead of just a single color across the entire length of the tube, you can actually go in and set the color, the intensity, the brightness, or the on-off state of each of the individual segments of this light. But I'm gonna share that a little bit later on in the video because there's one feature of these lights that I really like. Now, because these are pixel tube lights, it means they're more customizable than the original Amaran TC series lights. Now, it also means that if you need one tube light that covers you in pretty much every scenario, that these might just be the perfect lights for you, especially if you're already someone who's invested into other Amaran lights, like any of their COB LED mono lights. But if you're not, then we have the brand new 200XS, which when paired with the P series pixel lights, forms the third part of our at-home kit that not only works for a setup like this, but is fully studio ready when you want to take them with you on your next paid photo shoot. So what does the S in the name mean? Well, let's break it down. So the Amaran series lights are intended to be budget friendly. Now, the smallest one they make is the 60-watt version, and then it goes up to the brightest one, which is the 200-watt version that I have here. All of these lights have the same form factor, the same price point, the same connectivity as the original Amaran series lights, but the S versions have improved SSI, or improved color accuracy, which means you're getting the same great light at the same great price, except all of your colors are being rendered even more accurately. So both of these lights come with the same thing. Whether you get the 2-foot or the 4-foot version, they come with the light in the case, which is actually padded. So if you're gonna like bang it around or bring it on set, you don't have to worry about it getting beat up. Now, one thing you can do with these lights that you can also do with the regular T2 and T4 lights is hook an eye hook to them. So if you wanna hang them from the ceiling, you have that option. Instead of having threads on the actual body of the light, now they have these adapters which you can basically attach anywhere. There's threads, but then there's also magnets. So if I grab them, now it just clips on and I can put that onto my light stand. And if I want to mount it to the side, maybe I want to mount it to like 2 locations, I can do that. And let me see if I can find a magnetic surface here. No, it's not magnetic enough. No, it's wood. This is the garbage can magnetic. The garbage can is magnetic. So if you wanted to, you could take both of these guys, clip them on. Now you've got a light on your garbage can. A 3-light setup is actually what I use to film pretty much all of my long form and short form videos. But right now I'm shooting on the older Amaran 60X or 60D light. So we're gonna break that one down. We're gonna put the new 200X, but before we do that, we're gonna take some light readings to make sure that we're keeping our light levels the same, and so that when we go to color grade the footage later, it's all right where we need it to be. Yeah, we're about 950, that's exactly where we want it to be. So we're gonna remember that number, and we're gonna turn all the lights off. So that's with all the lights off, just the practical light in the background and my monitor off to the side. Okay, so this is with just my room lights. We have the monitor off to the side, the overhead lights, everything is a different color temperature. Nothing is hitting my face. I'm basically sitting in a shadow. So we're gonna turn all of that off. We're gonna throw the 200X on and get this party started. All right, so all of the ugly room lights have been turned off, and I've put the aperture light to about 40%. So let's take some color readings or some light readings. Okay, so we're about 1,000, so that should be good at around 40%. I think maybe we're getting a little bit more light into the background, but we'll have to compare the footage before and after. Maybe if I angle this down just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Let's just take one more reading. Yeah, so 1100, maybe a bit hot. I think I'll drop the light. So that's 34% versus previously the 60D was at 80%. Right now, I'm actually gonna introduce one of these 4-foot tubes as our backlight, and I've literally just attached like a little stand to it with the thread adapters at the bottom. It's like one of these gimbal handles, except we're not really using it as a gimbal handle. So now I've got a little bit of an edge light or a rim light or a hair light or whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of just wrapping around the edge of me. Now, one thing you could do is you could try to hide that light by putting it on a light stand and kind of elevating it and putting it far into the corner. But because it is a nice looking light, I actually don't mind having it as a part of my actual set design. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try 2 different versions of kind of like a background colored light. We're gonna try the small light so you can see what that looks like first. So it's kind of spilling into the background. I think it was at like 30%. Let's put it up a little bit. That's pretty cool. That's our 3 lights. But if I take the 4-foot light, let's see if we can get a little bit more of a spill with it. Okay, so that's the 4-foot light at about 60% intensity. You can kind of see it's going a little bit further. Let me just brighten it up a little bit more. Okay, so now you can't even see it in the picture because it's so close to me, and it's really making the whole backdrop look blue. And I actually have a nice contrast with this light up here, which is literally just a practical light bulb. Not a fancy light bulb, but it does add a little bit of a touch. But of course, because these are pixel lights, if we wanted to get really crazy, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be doing rainbow colored mode. Now I want to show you my favorite feature of all of these lights. So I mentioned these are pixel lights, and if you want to control the pixel effects, you can actually use the Sidus link app. But I can control not just the pixel lights, I can control my main light. So if I go in here, I click on the 200x, I can up the intensity of it, I can drop the intensity, I can just turn the light off if I don't want that light. If I want it to be warm, I can set it to be warm, or what I really want is it to be at 5600. All right, cool, but we can also adjust the lights in the back. So if I jump into the 4C, which is on the ground, you can see that it's set to blue. But if I want, I've got presets. I can change it to red, I can change it to green, or I can just drag it around and change it to any solid color that I want. But now we have pixel effects. So if I go into pixel effects, and I can go back to that rainbow setting that I was showing earlier, I can boost the intensity of it. So you can kind of just see it's cycling back and forth. I can change the speed, I can change the direction of it. Or if you're someone who is running like a pro lighting setup with a light board, you can actually plug in DMX control into the USB if you buy the adapter. And now all of a sudden you can address each of the individual segments. I think the 4C in the back has 16 segments. The 2C has 8 segments, and you could basically just create a custom light show for either your stage setup or your at-home studio if you do have access to a light board. Okay, so here's the deal. So we have 4 of these tube lights. I think what we can do, I saw this photo shoot that they did for one of the new Star Wars movies. We just like set them all up. We can get a nice backdrop, get a nice edge light, and I think that'd make for a sick portrait. Let's see if we can try to understand the studio lighting setup that we had using a miniaturized version that we have set up here. So what this is essentially a 2-light rim light setup. We have 2 PT2cs, and then we have the 200x acting as our fill light. So it's still a 3-light setup, and then we have our camera shooting our subject. I actually used a similar setup like this a few weeks ago to shoot one of the thumbnails for my video. I had the product in the center, and I basically had a light at each of the corners of this piece of hardwood flooring, and then that gave me a nice clean outline on each of the sides of the lens that I was shooting. And the nice thing is that creates a good contrast with the background so that your subject stands out and you have that nice clean profile. So let's flip this around and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So from this perspective, you can kind of see the edge light kind of hugging the curves of this object. And that's a really nice look, especially for product photography. So whether or not you're shooting inside of a studio or at home, you can still use this simple 3 lighting setup in various different forms to get that professional, high quality studio look for your photo shoots. So what are some of the positives about the PT2c series? Well, first of all, they do have the faceted edges. So if you're looking to put it on a flat surface, you can put it down, you can angle it exactly like what we've done back there. When you compare them to the TC series, these are basically full length, so there's no more battery handle. The battery is integrated, which gives you more flexibility when you're doing things like creating shapes or creating a set, so you don't have to worry about the handle getting in the way. You basically just use the included adapters, clip them on, and now you can build out any shape you want. Or, because now that there's an adapter on each end, you could do things like put a friction arm or some sort of adapter, and now you can screw the lights together and create funky shapes for your set design. Another thing is that they charge with 20-watt power delivery, so there's no more barrel plug. Everything is done through the USB-C jack, including the DMX if you're looking to program them and customize the pixels and all that sort of fun stuff. The PT2c runs from 170 minutes up to 668 minutes on the lowest setting, and the PT4c, same thing, so 170 minutes up to 776 minutes. So these things can last quite long if you're just running them in the background, let's say on a low dimness with a single color. Everything you want to know about these lights will be linked down in the description below. Specs, where you can get them, all that sort of fun stuff. But if you want to know more about them, go ahead, leave a comment, because I will be making content with them over the next little while, and I will try to answer as many of those questions as I can. If you're not already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button for more content like this. And if you do, I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, we just need lightsaber noises. All right, I'm done.